This article will allow the school district to enter into a successor 3-year contract with the Timberlane Teachers Association. The proposed contract ratified by the union and the school board represents a 3% increase in salaries and a $210,000 cost savings in insurances for year 1, a 2.3% increase in salaries in year 2, and a 2.5% increase in salaries in year 3. This slide shows some of the summaries of changes in this agreement. Salaries, as you can see in the chart, 2016-17, steps 1 through 14, we are in a step track here. Step 1 through 14 would receive a 0.75% increase. Step 15, which is the final step on the track and step, would see an increase of 2%. In 2017-18, steps 1 through 14 would receive a 0.5% increase, and step 15 would receive a 1% increase. In 2018-19, steps 1 through 14 would receive a 0.5% increase, and step 15 would receive a 1.5% increase. Other changes are severance pay, sick leave redemption. After 10 years service, unused sick days may be redeemed at $20 per day. That's increased from $15 in the current contract. After 15 years service, unused sick days may be redeemed at $25 per day. That's increased from the $20 current price. Sick bank, the sick bank maximum was increased from 600 to 1,000 days. Additional changes to the agreement include adding language to address the requirements and mandates of the Affordable Care Act, incorporating the online learning Blizzard Bag Days provisions, clarifications to credit and course reimbursement allocations, and permitting the superintendent to hire candidates up to 2 steps higher for positions designated as critical shortage areas in an effort to secure qualified, experienced educators.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question about this.
Yep. Go ahead, Ms. Green.
Thank you. So what I don't understand about this is if the salary increases on the chart shows that there's a 0.75% increase in steps 1 through 14, and then step 15 got a 2% increase. Nobody got more than a 2% increase, so how come it's saying on the warrant that it represents a 3% increase in salaries in the first year?
Go ahead, Nancy.
Mrs. Green, you were on the Personnel Committee, the negotiating team, and on the school board. How is it that you have a question now after weeks and months of negotiation? I thought
Because I don't recognize these numbers. If I recognize this 0.75% and the 2%, and if you don't add those percentages, I mean, it's
Let
nobody
me help
got
you
more than
understand,
2%.
Mrs. Green. I answered this before. I'll answer it again. That's the step and the increase. The 3% is the both, right? So a teacher that's working here, that's on a particular track, moves down a step and the increase. That's the 3%. That's the dollar amount, right? That's so that you're confusing 2 different things.
So the proposed contract ratified represents a 3% increase in salaries, but.
Yeah, that's
if
what you heard all fall when you were part of the negotiating team, Mrs. Green.
Yeah, could you cut the sarcasm, please? I'm genuinely trying to understand this, and if I don't understand it, how do you expect the public to understand it?
Not being sarcastic. I've answered this before for you. This is for the camera, Mrs. Green. That's why you're asking again.
No, I'm genuinely trying to understand it. And if I don't understand it, then the public doesn't understand it.
I don't know if that's necessarily true, Mrs. Green.
So the step increases happen with or without, are independent of the new contract, though, right?
That's correct. You negotiated that, Mrs. Green. You were part of that. Step and the percent. That was what you negotiated and voted for. That's what we did all fall.
And could you also tell me if the sick pay increase, the buyout of the unused sick days, was a new consideration in this negotiation, or is that an artifact from the previous agreement?
What it was negotiated, discussed in previous personnel negotiations.
It's been in the contract, it's been approved.
That was in the previous agreement, and you'll notice it went up as part of this agreement, which you voted on in the fall.
Please don't tell me what I voted on. I know very well
So,
what I voted
so
on.
Mrs. Green, to that question, if you look at the bottom of the slide, the sick bank maximum was increased from 600 to 1,000 days. So are you asking if it was increased?
No, I'm asking about the sick day buyout. Was that increased in this current negotiating?
Yes.
Yes, it says it right there. The sick bank maximum was increased from 600 to 1,000 days.
No, I'm not talking about the bank. I'm talking about the buyout for unused sick days.
Just in this.
Yeah, the buyout for unused sick time, you see, it's a summary of changes. So changes would be things that are new in this agreement that weren't in the previous agreement, or have changed since the previous agreement. That's why it's called a change, summary of changes. So it went from what it was to what it is now, and that's why it's on here, so that the voters can see what the increase is as part of this new agreement that we all unanimously approved in the fall.